Look at this image. I'm willing to bet you thought to yourself, oh, a Lego brick. You didn't think, oh, a plastic building block. It's not your fault for thinking that either. The same way you wouldn't call this Kleenex a tissue or this Band-Aid a bandage, Lego is synonymous with plastic toy blocks. Lego is a dominant force behind the bricks and blocks segment, accounting for an estimated 65% share of the overall construction toy market. And they rake in billions of dollars every year, all for these silly little models we stick on our shelves. I would not call Lego a monopoly in the building block space. They're not excluding competitors, simply offering a more convenient and compelling product for most. But it's fair to say they pretty much own the bricks and blocks segment. They're the company most synonymous with the category. They've stuck with this interlocking plastic brick concept for decades and decades, and have explored so much of what the brick can offer. But there's still more I and many others want to see done with Lego and their products. Whether that be the production of specific licensed sets or more generic IPs, more printed details compared to stickers, cheaper pricing, smaller sets, whatever it may be, Lego is not perfect. Now, this is not an anti-Lego video. I'm not talking about other toy building brands just to poo-poo on the big guy, but competition is important. It drives innovation among all parties involved. Speaking generally about Lego's set output as a whole, the increase in expensive, licensed sets has left a hole in the market, both for licensed sets that Lego hasn't done or won't do, and original themes that have been left behind, like Castle, Pirates, and Western. Today we'll be looking at 5 different non-Lego building block brands, basically reviewing 20 sets I gathered to generally show off what these brands are all about, my thoughts on the quality of the kits, then a little pros and cons list of each company to fully summarize my thoughts, and let you know if any of those Instagram ads you see online are worth a damn. I feel like I have to further emphasize and get ahead of some comments. Lego is not going away. They're still the reason we all love this hobby, but I do think there are other brands who deserve some respect for the display models they're producing. There is some seriously impressive stuff out there that just gets written off as fake Lego. I hate that phrase. It has such a stink to it. Fake Lego. There is a line that can be drawn between alternate compatible bricks and fake Lego, or counterfeits, and that all comes down to trademark and copyright infringement. Before diving into all these alternate brick sets, this is an important thing to talk about. Lego patented the modern stud and tube brick design in 1958 in Denmark, then throughout Europe, later patenting the core brick design in the US in 1961. These patents provided 20 years of exclusivity, after which other makers could legally produce compatible bricks using the same connection principles. It's obviously been a couple years since 1958, so other companies are allowed to produce compatible bricks as they please. Trademarks, such as the Lego wordmark, logo, and the minifigure design are a no-no in infringing on. Lego has pursued protection of the minifigure as a 3-dimensional trademark in multiple jurisdictions, arguing it as a distinctive indicator of origin rather than a purely functional feature. So no using any mention of Lego, and no copying the minifigure design. Copyright infringements, like copying instruction artwork, minifigure graphics, packaging, and unique set models are the most obvious sign when you're dealing with some fake Lego. Reproducing exact duplicates of Lego designs for fractions of the price is the stuff you see frequently on places like Temu. And listen, I can understand buying a fake, old, retired Lego set that is just uber expensive, but the stuff that really grinds my gears are the companies infringing on the copyright of Lego builders like you and I, producing sets from mock builders' custom instructions in places like Rebrickable. This is a big problem. I see people infrequently posting on Instagram about some company that's taken their custom instructions and fully produced a set out of it without the designer's knowledge, and of course, without additional compensation. So that's the drawn line. Fake Lego is infringing on copyright and trademarks. The brands I will be covering in this video are not doing that. They are brands both big and small, but they're all playing by the books, making good stuff, and they all deserve a shot. Let's explore the world beyond Lego. The first brand on our list goes by AREAX, a relatively new company that's producing sets from a variety of IPs. What they're most known for, and the reason I'm aware of AREAX, is their larger SpongeBob line of sets. I only have one of their builds to show off in this video, the Krusty Krab, but I've got more models for all the other brands we'll be looking at today. Besides the large SpongeBob sets, they also offer smaller SpongeBob sets, a lot in this cube display form. They've got Sanrio characters in those same displays, and a whole line of Yu-Gi-Oh characters. figures. And rounding out their catalog, Mr. Bean. Really, the only reason I'm bringing up this company is because of all these SpongeBob sets they're creating. As most of you watching this video probably already know, LEGO held the SpongeBob license from 2006 to 2012, and sporadically made sets featuring a variety of locations from the show. Those sets are nostalgic as fuck, and evidenced by the amount of SpongeBob sets that have amassed 10,000 supporters on LEGO Ideas, SpongeBob is still a licensed property that LEGO fans crave. A large-scale brick-built Krusty Krab has been a dream set of mine for many years, and I'm happy to say this 2,700-piece AREAX set doesn't disappoint. Shout out to my sister Jenna for gifting me this sweet set for my birthday a while back. It's honestly not fair to compare this set to the considerably smaller and much older playsets from LEGO, but it really goes to show how much of their own thing they're pursuing, especially the minifigures. LEGO SpongeBob's figures aren't bad by any means. There's plenty of custom molds that adapt the LEGO minifigure system in a way that does represent the characters well, but AREAX is taking it in a completely different direction. Instead of designing molds around a base minifigure, each character has been custom molded to fit their likeness. For SpongeBob licensed sets, I think this is a much more satisfying solution. Included in the Krusty Krab set are SpongeBob, with great prints and excellent shaping, a single-toothed Patrick Star, eyebrow-raised Squidward, Eugene Harold Krabs, AREAX please color match these pieces, and finally, a couple of hungry customers. All of these figures look swell, especially the main characters. I'm very impressed with how far they've gone past what LEGO has done with this license in the past, although I would love to see them release even more characters than what they have so far. Moving on to the exterior accessories, the small printed enter sign looks great. I guess now is a good time to mention that this set includes 86 prints, but also 9 stickers. All the prints are great, but the stickers are not my favorite. Many of them, like on this boat, are oversized and don't stick very well. But all 9 of the stickers in this set could probably just be left off, as they are minor details compared to the prints. The boat itself looks great. Largely built out of a rowboat mold, it's got enough room to seat one figure and wheels on the bottom to scoot around the sea floor. A rather important exterior accessory to the Krusty Krab is this dumpster, with an opening lid and enough room for Patrick and a couple of trash bags inside. The prints on those sand green tiles look good, but unfortunately, no sentence enhancers. A serious from AREAX. All fast food restaurants need a big ol' sign to lure customers off the road, and this rendition of the Krusty Krab sign does not disappoint. The printed base looks good and keeps the sign relatively stable, as does the yellow pole. The clamshell looks smooth, even from the back, and the printed logo is pristine, but perhaps a little on the small side. This Krusty Krab build is awesome. The shaping of the outside looks great, and they didn't miss any opportunities to spice this thing up. I'm a big fan of the brick-built flags, and the printed wood texture on these larger tiles is a satisfying bit of detail. The nets on either side look fantastic, but were quite annoying to construct. Overall, a solid exterior, even crazier considering the main function of this set. Pulling out the front entrance reveals the interior, while also sliding back the roof to allow access to the upper storage area. This function is so slick, and I'm still surprised they were able to hide this major of a function without sacrificing the looks of this set. On the inside are a couple of lights shining in the main dining area, but without any proper routing for the wires, it feels a little sloppy. The switch is on the outside next to the door, and there is a visible difference from the outside when the lights aren't illuminated. The lights weren't really a necessary inclusion in my opinion. I would have preferred if they had done them a bit more properly, or just not included them at all. The interior is kind of small, but they still found a way to pack in plenty of details and references, like tables, barrels, the boat cash register, and a ton of printed floorboards below. Just like the real Krusty Krab, Mr. Krab's office is on the left, with sailing antiquities and money. The kitchen, with a grill, refrigerator, and a collection of condiments and ingredients. And of course, the bathroom, with enough room for a single stall. Overall, I'm incredibly pleased with this AREAX model. The brick quality is good, and it really does appease my appetite for a larger scale, brick-built Krusty Krab. Now, some pros and cons about AREAX as a whole. Of course, I'm only judging this company from the one set I have and the images I see online, but that kinda has to do with one of my cons. AREAX has some very mid sets. I don't think these cube display builds are that compelling, but I have to put that they have some very good sets in the pros column, because like this Krusty Krab, they clearly have some winners, and some reasonable prices. I'm a big fan of their unique molds, especially the figures, and they're willing to go pretty far with the offerings of printed parts. The stickers, although limited, are still a con, because they're not very good. I'm going to say that the limited amount of licensed sets they have is both a pro and a con. Maybe these are IPs you're very interested in building sets from. Conversely, you could have no interest in these things, in which case, thanks for sticking around and let's keep moving. If you couldn't tell, Lumibricks is one of the brands I'm most excited to talk about in this video. They specialize in larger, fully illuminated display models based off of original themes, like Western, Castle, Cyberpunk, modular buildings, steampunk, and plenty more. They've been slowly building their catalog of sets over the past couple years, finding their footing more and more, and making some truly cool looking sets. You may have heard them referred to as a different name in the past if you're familiar with this company, Funhole. Quite the unfortunate English translation, so I'm glad they've made some adjustments to their branding. For transparency's sake, Lumibricks did send me a handful of these sets to showcase in this video, but all opinions are my own, and I won't shy away from sharing any of the negative thoughts that I do have. I'll be listing their prices as I go through the sets, but Lumibricks on their site and on Amazon frequently have a majority of their products on sale, typically in the 10 to 40% range. Starting with one of their modular buildings, this is the Brick Art Gallery. I'm not a huge modular building guy myself, but I know a good-looking plastic building block building when I see one. This whole set is 32 by 48 studs, a Lego base plate and a half. Now, this set doesn't use base plates, just plates on the bottom layer, so the sidewalk will be a slightly different level compared to a Lego modular. If you're looking for consistency, you could easily build this set on some base plates of your own. Or maybe you're a Mills plate city builder, in which case the plates included may make your customizations even easier. 3,400 parts are packed densely in this box, with 3 separate instruction booklets, and a box with all the lighting stuff. All the lights were packed in here, but you also get a USB adapter if you'd rather not use batteries to power the LEDs, a tiny screwdriver to open said battery box, some tweezers for wrangling cables, which I never ended up needing while building these sets, and this funky brick separator. The art gallery is fully enclosed, features 22 LED lights, and 62 printed bricks. No stickers. No stickers in any of these Lumibricks sets. A lot of people do not like Lumibricks figures, but they've publicly stated that they will be changing their design at some point in the future. I don't think they're great, but they're not horrible. Mixed in with the scenery of the sets, they usually serve their purpose well enough. This is a Lego compatible system, so if you really don't like the figures, you can easily switch them out for some Lego minifigures of your own. And all the hairs, hats, and hand accessories fit the sizes of the leading brand. The lights in this set are fantastic. Without them, you still have a good model, but you lose a lot of that extra flair that Lumibricks has to offer. Here's the set with no other lights on in the studio, probably a bit darker on camera than it appears in real life. The exterior lights have strong glows, and those interior lights allow you to peek inside without having to remove any parts. The placement of multiple LEDs on wires is very intentional, and they use a lot of their own molded parts to make wiring easier, hide wires, and avoid pinching or stressing any of those wires. All the sets come with battery banks, this one taking 3 AA's, but also all including the USB cable I showed off earlier. Truthfully, their lighting system is unmatched, even compared to third-party Lego lighting brands. Lumibricks is much cheaper than buying a Lego set and an additional LED kit, and the sets are designed around the lighting system, so they end up being easier builds to light. If lighting Lego is something you've never done before, experiencing the building techniques around the lighting of these sets would be a great first step. The interior of this set can be accessed from the back, with a variety of doors and panels strewn about. The first floor features an art supply store with a checkout area and bathroom under the stairs. The second floor has a lot more art gallery specific stuff, with a section that pulls out containing most of the brick built and printed paintings in this set. The mix of both is very cool to see, and I think these 2 brick built ones are my favorite. The third floor displays all of the statues in the gallery, with a small clay pottery wheel set up on the left. Here's the brick art gallery next to the Lego Sanctum Sanctorum set, the only modular I've got available at the moment to compare. Lego is expensive and Disney licensed stuff is expensive, but the fact that the art gallery has 700 more parts, way more prints, is fully lit and is $20 cheaper than this Lego set is something to think about for sure. Maybe these other brands aren't so bad after all. Here's a modular building I'm personally a bit more interested in and very impressed by. Izakaya. A brightly lit and incredibly colorful section of their cyberpunk series of sets. This is the only set in that series going for a futuristic Japanese look, but in doing that, I think it's my favorite of the bunch. Fairly reminiscent of the Ninjago City line of sets from LEGO, but they're very much going for their own thing here. Getting the figures out of the way, I do like these more than the regular townfolk in the Brick Art Gallery, particularly this void-faced guy and the pink and white android character. Looking at Izakaya, the lights included add so much detail and variety to this build. They really turn the set into something special. The variety of lighting features like the flexible strips and edge-lit acrylic feel right at home in this cyberpunk setting. The same battery box is included in this set, and this whole line includes exposed lighting connection points so you can line these sets up and power them using a single source. Back to the front of this build, the standalone takoyaki shop is a good-looking little building. The glowing screed is the obvious highlight here, with a limited interior for patrons. This whole front corner also separates for a bit easier accessibility to the alleyways in between. This red gate very much fits the vibe they're going for, and next to it is a small self-serving ramen vending machine. A little odd given that the main building is also a ramen shop. 3 panels can be removed in the back to access the interior of this building, giving us a closer look at that restaurant on the first floor. This printed salmon cutlet might be my favorite part of the set. Upstairs is a meeting area for tea and the purchase of red jewels with purple cyber dollars or something. The printed sliding doors around the front are very cool, and the glowing green spire up top adds some height to this very good looking set. All the cyberpunk sets laid out in a row is quite a cool setup. I'm very excited to see where they take this line of sets in the future. This is the Sheriff's Office, an earlier addition to their line of Western sets. This is actually the first Lumibricks build I picked up. I bought it before building my LEGO Atlantis mock earlier this year, just to see how they approached their lighting system, since LEGO lighting was previously something I hadn't explored that much of. The figures are what they are, but the guns and hats are nice LEGO accessories, I suppose. This set comes with a small wanted board with a couple of prints. The printing itself is not too bad, but the graphic design is a bit lacking in my opinion. This is definitely something they've gotten better with over time. Like all the other sets, lights add a lot to the display value of this build, but there also aren't that many of them this time around. There's a couple lights in the front to light up the porch, and one on the side to illuminate the top of the staircase, as well as a handful inside. I do think the outside looks quite good, with the most interesting building techniques in the front facade. The printed sign looks good, and the brick build vulture is interesting, a bit abstract, but I don't hate it. It's kinda creative. The small jail cell on the side of the building can slide right out, and the 2 floors are accessible with 2 hinged panels in the back. The cell is nothing crazy. The interior can only be accessed by removing the roof, as these bars don't actually open like a door. But there is a small bed inside, and enough room for the single inmate included in this set to be locked away. Plenty of details inside the building, like the sheriff's desk and a setup to take some mug shots while you're booking those bad boys. There's more exposed wires in this set compared to others. Not a huge deal on the interior, but definitely something they've improved over time as well. Upstairs are the sheriff's living quarters, with a bed, a stove, and a bathtub. I love the battery box solution for this set, hidden inside the roof. The Western line is one of Lumibricks' biggest, and there are quite a few sets they've made since the Sheriff's Office that I think look even better. Lumibricks doesn't just make large display sets though, they also make smaller ones, like this. This little guy is a recent addition to the line, the Treasure Stagecoach. The exterior of this build looks really nice, especially with all those prints on each side. The setup with the strings in front allowing the driver to rein his duo of horses looks good, and the single figure included in this set looks quite proper for this deluxe of a stagecoach. This back flap opens up with some random printed mail and papers inside, and the rest of the interior is accessible not only through these doors on each side, but also via the top. There is some valuable cargo as advertised on the exterior, being a locked safe. It can be opened by turning that crank, with hella brick treasures to be found. This set only has 3 lights, 2 lamps on either side of the stagecoach, and 1 illuminating the inside. They are, I would say, annoyingly powered using this small battery bank that can hold 2 CR2032 button cell coin batteries. The lights in this set cannot be powered via USB. The benefit is that you have a fully standalone carriage with no wires coming out of it and without limiting its mobility, but giving the consumer the option for how to power these sets should always be considered. The last Lumibricks set to show off is this big old castle banquet hall. They've been building their medieval line for a little while, mostly selling medieval town stuff as opposed to castles, but they finally moved into larger castle builds, and the world is better off for it. This is the first of 3 larger castle sets that all connect together, the others being the King's Castle Treasury and the new Castle Armory. If you're looking for a classic castle setup with the drawbridge and battlement up top, that Castle Armory is probably more up your alley, but this banquet hall is a very cool castle set. The figures are once again fine. I think these fabric dress bits are pretty cool. Unfortunately, not compatible with LEGO minifigures since the legs and torsos are only connected with a single peg instead of 2. Castle time! I really like this build. Being a big banquet hall, the shaping of it feels kind of Skyrim-ish? Maybe that's just me, but a very appealing looking building for sure. The front door looks great, with printed stained glass bits on either side, flames lighting up the surrounding exterior, and a cool setup with a printed dish and gold accessories up top. There's more printed stained glass around the side, with a tower in the back that varies the outside of this building's shape quite a bit, and a sloped roof that looks really good, but is not attached very well on this side. Probably my biggest complaint with this set. The back is fully enclosed and detailed, with a kitchen that can be opened up because I know how much you all love playing with your building sets and not just leaving them for display. A bit of rock that can be removed to access the base of the tower, an open door that connects to the King's Castle Treasury set, some hidden barrels, the battery box, and most importantly, a majority of the back wall and roof can be removed to fully show off that grand banquet hall. There are some details on the other side of the removable panel, some printed portraits and a couple of columns to support the angled ceiling. This is a truly impressive interior, with a chandelier that basically lights up the entire room. In the center of the room is this removable table and chairs, with quite the feast on top. Since the figures don't have any anti-studs on the back of their legs, the bottom of their feet have to attach to these exposed studs on the table to keep them in place while seated. Probably my least favorite aspect of the Lumibricks figure design. The printed flags littered around the room look great, and the double staircase looks very appropriate for a king to stand atop and address his guests. My only criticisms with this interior are the general lack of details in any area behind those printed flags and columns. There is room to fill, but it's just not very accessible, and they ended up just choosing to not put anything back there. Just some small details, like another portrait or two, or maybe a console table with some extra medieval crap on it, would go a long way. In summary, Lumibricks has a lot of pros. The builds are genuinely fun to construct, with a very accessible and great lighting system. They're exploring original themes in new and unique ways, and creating some very cool lines. I'll call their lack of licensed products a con, since that's something that a lot of people are looking for, but I honestly hope they stick with doing these original themes, because no one else is doing it to this level. The fact that the parts are printed and no stickers are included in these sets is such a bonus, and the fact that they frequently discount sets on top of the already very reasonable prices is probably one of the biggest pros of this company. Another pro, this Alien Frontier Bounty Hub set they released after I built all the sets for this video is dope. They are a new company, and they're still working at the kinks in some of these sets. I definitely recommend watching reviews before spending cash on any of the brands I'm talking about today. And I can't exclude the ultimate con. These minifigures. Overall, I'm a big fan of what Lumibricks is doing and where they're going. If LEGO lighting is something you've wanted to do in the past but just seemed a bit daunting, I think these sets are a great place to start. I don't really do reviews on this channel. This video is probably the closest thing to that, but I wouldn't be surprised if I ended up doing more Lumibricks short content or something in the future. Thank they changed their name from Funhole. CaDA is a brand that largely focuses on vehicle-based sets, but that's not the only thing they do. They produce original themes, but also a handful of licensed sets as well. I've heard good things online, but I've never built any of these sets before this video. CaDA does do a lot of large-scale vehicle Technic sets, but I'm really not much of a Technic fan, so I won't be showing any of those sets off in this video. They do look pretty good from what I know about Technic cars, but let's jump into some of their brick-based sets. First up from CaDA is the Initial D Toyota AE86, a licensed, brick-built RC car with a controller. They've got a whole line of Initial D stuff, and when figuring out which sets to showcase in this video, this RC car caught my eye. I'm not the hugest Initial D nerd, that would be my roommate Luke, but I do think this model overall looks quite accurate to its depiction in the anime and manga. I do have to point out the white printing on the windshield and its lack of color matching with the surrounding bricks, especially compared to the box art. That's a big difference. I also need to present my biggest problem with CaDA, the stickers. There are some prints in these sets, but almost entirely stickers. They do commit the cardinal sin of attaching stickers over multiple parts in more spots than they should, but the most annoying thing to me is that most of the decals are the exact same size as the bricks they're being adhered to. LEGO makes the stickers smaller, so when you mess up, at least the stickers won't be overhanging off the side of the brick. I found these CaDA stickers pretty difficult to line up, and that's coming from someone who has attached probably thousands of LEGO stickers. Anyways, there's little details here and there that aren't perfect, but overall it's a great depiction of this car, and the fact that it's at a 1/20th scale and still stable enough to be an RC car is pretty impressive. There is an interior, accessible by tearing apart the roof, but probably not enough room to hold LEGO minifigures inside. I said this was brick built, and that was most of the truth. A majority of the bottom of this build is a single part, containing all the electronics for the RC car. There's an on-off switch, left-right trim, and a battery compartment that holds 3 AA batteries. With the remote needing 2 AAA batteries, that's a lot of extra stuff to need out of the box. There is an app you can use instead of the remote control, but I didn't feel like downloading it. After putting in the numerous batteries, the car and remote connected and worked without a problem. This is a cheaper toy RC car, so it has non-proportional steering, meaning the wheels can only be turned fully left, fully right, or held in the middle position. Same for acceleration, full speed forward, or full speed back. Driving it around on some tile, it works well. It's not the fastest, and it can't drift, but it's pretty stable. It's a brick-built RC car, so there had to be some compromises. I'd say they did a pretty good job. Besides Initial D, CaDA also holds the license for Shell, everyone's favorite big, bad oil company. LEGO had featured Shell in a ton of sets since the 60s, especially across the town theme, not ending their partnership until 2014 in response to Greenpeace International going viral with a parody video, LEGO, Everything is Not Awesome. This was created in protest of Shell's plans to drill in the Arctic, and I'm sure Shell's environmental impacts and ethically concerning corporate practices didn't help their case either. LEGO decided not to renew its co-promotion deal with Shell, and now CaDA has picked up the reins. Inside the box is an instruction manual with some beautiful Shell propaganda in the front and 2 loaded sticker sheets. This is the set that made me really dislike the CaDA stickers. When I bought this set, I thought it would be a funny, random set to pull out in the middle of this video for a couple laughs or whatever, but it's really not that funny. It's just a couple of gas pumps. I don't really know what I was expecting when I bought this. They're good-looking gas pumps, but I can't imagine that there's a huge audience for a gas station build, and they have a bunch of these products. The set does include a motorcycle. It's pretty plain, but it gets the job done. I also did want to point out these scuff marks I found on a handful of parts. I've never seen that before. And I gotta call out the AI box art in the background. I'm surprised Shell's licensing team let them roll this on a store shelves with a CAF Sci-4 Cedo store in the background. Unless you're a LEGO city builder that wants a realistic gas station and absolutely loves stickers, don't buy this. Last up for CaDA is Kitty's Grocery, part of their Japanese building line of sets. I picked this set out because I thought it looked cool online, and it looks cool in person as well. The tan building with dark brown accents, a sand green roof, and pink tree is a unique and good looking color palette, and the scattered stickered parts make the grocery store section of this build much more interesting. There is some action around this build. There's a sliding door to access the side of the store, but cooler than that is the awning that can retract and extend over the T area using a small lever in the back. That seating area can also move back and forth, and you'll never guess what's underneath there. I'll give you 3 seconds. If you guessed koi pond, you are correct. Us humans can make our way inside using the hinged panel in the back, exposing a wide array of very random products littering the shelves. There's a cash register with some decor, and a couple more shelves on the back of that hinged door. This set also has a crazy amount of stickers, with the same sizing issue I mentioned earlier. But the biggest problem in this set are these lights, especially after the high we just rode with Lumibricks. This set is lit using a single strand of LED fairy lights, weaved all around the first floor connected to a USB. It's pretty sloppy, and 2 of the LEDs aren't even inside the building. There's no battery box or anything included to power these lights, so you'll have to figure that out on your own. Once you do, click the 1 button on the USB and it will cycle through a bunch of random, terrible effects to get the lights to remain constant. If you're a brick building brand and you're gonna do lights, but to this quality, just don't. Please. Lastly, we finally got a thick CaDA brick separator in this set. Truthfully, I had hoped for a bit more from CaDA. I didn't pick up any Technic stuff, so maybe I flubbed the presentation of this brand, but I think 3 products gives us a pretty good idea of what they're all about. I've had a lot of complaints, but the brick quality itself is as good as any of the other brands so far. So, the pros are, they're options for Technic-based stuff, if you're into that. They sell both licensed and original sets, and they've got RC stuff. As for cons, for a general audience, I think they've got a little bit of a limited selection available. Definitely more than AREAX, but if you're not into vehicles, Shell, or Japan, you're kinda out of luck. I do not like the stickers, I do not like the lighting system, if you can call it that, and I do not like the AI box art. Shell also has to go in the cons column, but Initial D in the pros column kind of levels it out. On to the next brand. It wouldn't be an alternate bricks video without Mega Blocks. Probably the most popular brick building toy besides Lego. They've been making sets since 1967, but their production quality noticeably increased in 2014 when Mattel purchased the company for $460 million. Mega is known for purely licensed products, featuring properties like Halo and Pokemon, and larger display sets like Masters of the Universe, the Barbie movie, the Beatles, Fallout, and more. But they're currently floating in the ether a bit, with some new branding and licenses left behind. Here's one of those big licensed sets, an Xbox 360. This set retails for $149.99, which is a little expensive for what's included here, but I found this set sealed on eBay for $80. Good deal. Included in this set are 3/4 scale versions of the base Xbox 360 console, a white Xbox controller, and a copy of Halo 3, as well as an achievement stand, the final thing you build, and your reward for building an Xbox. The controller is very cool. It's got printed parts all over. There are a ton of printed parts in this set, no stickers. The Xbox button glows green with a touch, and you can move around the rubber joysticks a bit. It's definitely got that controller feel, but it is downscaled a considerable amount. Here it is next to a real 360 controller. You can definitely tell this thing is brick built, but it looks nice. This Halo 3 game case is very cool, with 2 giant prints on the front and back of these big transparent green parts. The case does open, with a small, basically GameCube-sized disc inside. Here's the Mega Halo 3 disc compared to a real one. And here's the game case. The Xbox console itself is just as cool as those accessories. Here it is next to the Xbox 360E. Not the same exact model, but you get the idea. Just like the real 360, this set does a great job of recreating that unique tapered shape in the build. The sides are littered with printed vent holes and a console logo in the middle, but the back is even cooler. I love all these printed ports, and they made sure to include them all. The other side is the same, with some feet to lay the 360 horizontally. The front has lots of great prints for the disk drive and memory units, as well as a green light for the power button. Luckily, not a red one. The hard drive on top is a cool touch, but it can also be removed to reveal a small lever, granting us access to the inside of this holy machine. The setup inside is nothing close to how an Xbox looks. It's mostly just another area for them to include more references, like Cortana, who can be illuminated by pushing down on the center of the disk drive. There's also a glowing Xbox symbol for some reason. This interior definitely looks cool at first glance, but most of these components don't really mean anything. Like this Xbox, Mega does a lot of cool, larger license sets that Lego probably wouldn't touch anyways. Unfortunately, the thing Lego really wanted to touch was Mega's biggest license. Lego has acquired the exclusive building block rights for Pokemon, meaning that by January 1st, 2026, Mega Pokemon is no more. I saw a lot of celebration for this when it was announced, but I don't think Mega was doing a terrible job with the Pokemon license. They made a lot of large-scale statues of Pokemon, and lots of smaller sets like this one, Charizard. I picked this up a while ago on sale for like $15, and I think it's a pretty great build. It's got unique molds, rubber wings, lots of posability, and just some really nice shaping overall. There's a lot here that could not be built out of Lego. I don't really have much to talk about with this Charizard set other than it looks good, but seeing this model does worry me a little bit about the future of Lego Pokemon. They're going to have to really put some work in to make this line of sets better than what we already had. This is another line of Pokemon sets Mega was rolling out that I really like, and I know Lego won't be pursuing this idea. I believe these Pokemon sprites came from the Pokédex in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, but I'm probably wrong. These sets retail for $25, but I found most of them on sale throughout the past couple of years they've been out. There are 7 in total, and that's the complete line because Mega Pokemon is dead. We've got Charmander, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Pikachu, Eevee, Mew, and a Pokeball. A good selection for the start of a series, but there's so much they could do with this idea. There's like 1,000 fucking Pokemon. All these recreations of Pokemon sprites look really good. The only one I don't like is the Pokeball, and that's because it's literally orange. It looks kinda red on camera, but it is orange as hell. These sets are a little bit more than 2 bricks thick, with a hole in the bottom to attach a stand included in each set, and a notch on the back to easily hang these sets on the wall. My least favorite part about these sets is the building process. I legitimately hated doing these pixel art bits. They do everything they can to make it easier. The box has labeled areas to dump the 1x1 tiles into. The instructions give you a clear top-down view. They include this tool for straightening out lines of tiles and making sure you grab the right color, and even a little brick separator. But making sure all the tiles are lined up is so tedious. I fully understand why Lego made their art sets out of studs. Not that these should have been built out of studs. Tiles make more sense for this pixel art, but damn, they suck to put together. Still, a novel idea, and I would love to see Lego continue this concept in some way. It's time I address that bit I mentioned earlier about Mega currently floating in the ether a bit with some new branding. This is that new branding. It's kind of unknown what's going on with Mega because Pokemon was such a big part of their business, but Mattel recently launched the Mattel Brick Shop and immediately flooded it with new licensed products from car companies and Hot Wheels. I snagged one of those sets to show off, the Corvette Grand Sport. They're selling 3 different sizes of vehicle, a smaller size comparable to Lego Speed Champions, a larger scale like the Lego Icon sets, and a mid-tier scale, which would be this Corvette. I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to cars, but I can tell you, I think this thing looks pretty cool. It's got lots of slick curves using specially molded parts, some good looking prints, and a couple of action features. There are opening doors, working steering that's a little hard to access even after removing the roof, and a hood that can pop open with a nice looking engine inside. On the underside is a metal Hot Wheels badge. I also wanted to show it off next to Lego's Porsche 911 set. The vehicles are different scales, but you really don't lose that much detail at this smaller scale. And it's like a third of the price. Included in the box is also a Hot Wheels die-cast of the same vehicle. Looks good to me? I don't know. I'm a Lego channel, not a Hot Wheels channel. Get off my back. I also wanted to shout out these 2 pieces of parchment paper they used to protect the front and rear window of the Corvette. Avoiding scratching out of the box is always nice to see. Besides this stock configuration, there's another part of bags included to upgrade this car to a race configuration, with wider wheel supports, a rear spoiler, front splitter, metal wheel covers, and a sheet of stickers that they encourage you to use as you please. I kinda like this version better. It looks pretty slick. The pros and cons of Mega / Mattel Brick Shop. This unknown future is very much in that con column. I hope Mattel Brick Shop offers more than just cars, as the quality of parts and bricks they're including are very good. The fact that it's the most accessible building block brand besides Lego is definitely a plus, as is the unique licensed sets they offer. Or offered, I guess. Although unique, there's definitely a limited number of licensed sets available. I'm very curious to see what happens with Mega over the next year. I really hope they don't just disappear. Before we move on to the final brand, I have to say that this is not really a building block company, more building toys. But you're gonna dig it, and it might even strike a nostalgic bone for some, just like it did for me. If you're looking for other alternate brick brands, I've heard good things about Brick Crafts, Fantasy, Kobe and Insoon. I don't have any of these sets. Do your own research before you buy them. For now, let's get into the best Mario Kart building toys that money has to offer. And it's not Lego. It's time to roll out the red carpet for K'NEX. K'NEX makes motion-based construction toys, mostly vehicles, roller coasters, and amusement park rides. But in 2011, K'NEX partnered with Nintendo to produce Mario Kart Wii sets. This is not what you clicked on this video for. These are not alternate Lego bricks. But hot damn, this is some nostalgic plastic for me. I might make a standalone video about this line someday. I purchased this set, Mario and Bowser Ice Race building set, new and sealed on eBay for $61. And I'm so glad I did. These Mario Kart sets are based around a track system with battery-powered cars to race around the tracks that you build. All the sets can be connected and rearranged, and some people on YouTube back in the day made some absolutely ludicrous track layouts. Just look at this thing! This Ice Race set includes both Mario and Bowser in their standard carts. These carts are mostly built out of a handful of larger parts. There are a couple stickers scattered around, power switches on the back, and each character has to be disassembled to fit in the car. Bowser is especially modular, I suppose, with legs that separate, and the lower half of his shell can also be removed so he can fit in his cart. The funniest thing to me about these K'NEX minifigures is they're literally what LEGO Mario fans have been begging for since the theme started, but they just don't realize that it's literally already been done before. K'NEX had a license with Nintendo for years, and there are literally hundreds of characters from Mario games that they've designed. These are the LEGO Mario minifigures you've been looking for, especially when comparing the K'NEX cart to LEGO's new one. Like, what is that? The whole track in this set is not very big. You're definitely encouraged to collect these sets. All of the track segments have stickers on them and are connected using these little plastic nails, I guess, to keep them together. Along the track we've got some ice archways, a snowboarding shy guy who can go back and forth blocking incoming traffic, a finish line, and a big ramp that made my table shake so hard when all the cars were driving around. Also included is a penguin launcher intended to knock drivers off the track, but it doesn't work super well. That penguin looks really good, the shy guy looks perfect, and we also get two items in this set, a blooper and a star. I don't think this is a controversial thing to say. I think this is a much better toy than what LEGO's offering now for Mario Kart. I really like the sets they're producing for the sake of being display models, but I think the LEGO Mario gimmick is just weak, and the functionality of those sets are lackluster compared to some battery-powered cars on a track that can be customized and played with repeatedly. I was such a big fan of this set after picking it up, I went back on eBay and got 3 of the blind figure packs that came out around the same time. I was really hoping for some other figures besides Mario and Bowser, and luckily ended up with 3 awesome ones. First was Yoshi. He's a little tubby, but I really like his look. The next one might be my favorite, Diddy Kong. And finally, Donkey Kong. What a couple of goated random pulls. These figures are so cool. Complain about LEGO Mario minifigures all you want, but in my heart, they've already been here for almost 15 years. Pros and cons. Pros: fun, Mario Kart Wii, epic minifigures. And the cons? Well, you gotta buy them on eBay. Wow, this has been a very long video. I don't know why I thought reviewing 20 sets in a single video would be an easy process, but I think it was worth doing. All of these companies offer different things, both compared to each other and compared to LEGO. As the leading company in this hobby becomes more and more expensive, more people are going to be searching out these alternatives, and I encourage you to give them a try. You've seen enough here that none of these brands should simply be written off as fake LEGO. Designing sets is hard, building a brand is hard, and pleasing customers is really hard. I commend all the work these companies have put in to improve this hobby for us all, and I'm surprised they don't get as many accolades as they deserve. If you're looking for more reviews on a lot of non-LEGO stuff, I highly recommend checking out one of JANG Brick's other channels, JANG's Other Bricks. He does so many great reviews of sets from different companies, tries out so many different brands and types of sets, and is an incredible source for sharing new and exciting non-LEGO stuff. You should also watch JANG's Shopping Mall Mock Showcase, a classic LEGO YouTube video. Thank you guys for joining me on this non-LEGO adventure. Also, don't worry, I'm still a LEGO channel. This was just sort of a one-off thing I thought was important to talk about. I hope you learned about some new, exciting building blocks and expanded your horizons horizons a bit further in this plastic world we all live in. Until next time.